Well, hello everybody. My name's Karen Tems of the Business Network in Central and East Lancashire. Happy sponsor of Business Bites with Business Leaders in conjunction with Lisa Edge of Lancashire and GBTV. Today it gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity to chat with Louisa Scanlan of Collaborate Business Solutions. Hi Louisa, how are you?
Hi Karen, I'm very well, thank you. Very well. I hope you are too.
Great. So Louisa, tell me about how you started Collaborate Business Solutions and when that was.
So I started to Collaborate back in 2015. So I had just left a corporate position, which I've been in for 12 years, and decided that I needed to do something different, and the time was ripe to kind of decide to set up my own business, which was never something that was ever on my agenda. It was never on the path of how I expected my career to go. So Collaborate was born in 2015, and yeah, we've kind of been growing and developing ever since, which is not only how we like to see our business, so Collaborate, but also how we like to support those organisations that we work with. Fundamentally, it's around growth and change and supporting businesses through both of those.
Fantastic. What is it that motivates you about wanting to help organisations, not just in terms of the harder development, but in the softer skills of people development?
I think for me, it's all about organisations knowing that to be able to adapt and change, you can change a process, you can change machinery, you can change how you want to operate, but ultimately what it comes down to is it comes down to the people within your organisation going through that change process as well. So I work with organisations that have grown over a number of years, and people have watched that growth go through the organisation and want to see that growth continue. And for me, it's about engaging every single person in the organisation in that growth. So everybody has an idea, a thought, a way of doing things better. And my role when I go into organisations is to try and understand, what does that picture look like? How could the organisation look, feel, hear, see in the future? And then how do we actually then gain the momentum to actually move that forward? So it's very much about taking, one element of a change journey, and that element for me being the most critical, which is the employees and the individuals involved in the business, and understanding how to take them on that journey and make sure they feel a part of whatever's happening in the business.
So out of the many interventions that you must use in your role as facilitator of change, which one do you have the most empathy with? Which one is sort of your go-to? If you have a tool of the trade, which is your go-to tool?
So being awkward, I'll probably answer that with two questions. So for me, the go-to is very much around using tools that understand the existing organisation culture. So understanding what that culture looks like now and what that culture should look like in the future, or could look like in the future. So because for me, again, that gets back to the nub of what's it going to look like, what are we going to see, what are we going to hear, what are we going to feel as we go through. And then the other one I go back to very much working with that senior leadership team. So how's that leadership team going to drive that change forward? And we'll do that through facilitated sessions, so around the organisation design. I do that through enabling the team to learn more about themselves and each other. So I use a tool called Luminous Spark to do that, to engage with the teams, and using that psychometric, which is really colourful and just really opens up some amazing conversations and debates that we have. And then I quite often find myself then going into one-to-one coaching conversations, either with the business leader or with a group of the leaders within the organisation, to help to support them to make that change. Because quite often the change is quite personal for that individual. They might feel a bit out of their depth. They might not appreciate the impact it's going to have on them. So sometimes it's important to work on those individuals just as much as it is to think about holistically the whole organisation.
Fantastic. And what response do you usually get from your style of coaching?
So my style of coaching, I would describe as I'm a coach mentor is the easiest way of describing how I coach. So pure coaching is you just use a set of probing questions, but not giving your views, opinions, any ideas, hints, tips, tools, etc. I work with my coachees on the relationship of, if I think there's something that I can help with, I will ask them if they would like me to share that. So we either continue to work through the process, that means actually they find the solution for themselves, or we have a conversation around, I've come across something similar before, this has worked for other people, would you like me to tell you about it? And then we work through that process. So I'm very upfront that I will do an element of that if I feel it's appropriate, but actually 9 times out of 10, the individual that you're coaching has the solution. All they need to do is they just need to bounce back off somebody to say, I'm thinking of this. And then we work through that thought process. So it just enables them to get clarity.
And when they have that light bulb moment, how does that make you feel has been part of that process?
It's amazing, actually, because it's all about what realistically happens is it's just about that individual feeling confident that the decision that they've made is the right decision. And 9 times out of 10, if we trust our gut, we don't tend to do things that are ridiculous and reckless and crazy. But it's just having that reassurance from somebody else. And then you really get that confidence that you know what you're doing. And it's just seeing that person going, so I was on the right track, yes, or I knew that that was the right thing to do, but I just needed that external verification from a confidence perspective to say, yes, I can definitely do it. And it's not about me telling them they're doing the right thing. It's about them realizing they're doing the right thing for themselves just by some very, very simple questioning and a bit of challenge.
Yeah, great. I mean, in the last 5 years, you will have seen a lot of change. No more so than we're going through in June 2020, which will go down in history. How have you seen your business evolve? Because I think our businesses evolve depending on the needs of our clients. So, how have your clients' needs changed over your period of time?
Yeah. So my business took a while to evolve, if I'm honest. I always use the phrase with my clients, and it's quite similar with me, as is what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yep.
And I had to discover that for myself as a business. I knew what I didn't want to do from a work point of view. I was quite clear what elements of that HR environment I didn't want to be working with. But then it was finding the clients and like-minded clients that wanted to work on the things that I wanted to work with. So I probably shifted and moved quite a bit from what I originally thought I was going to do. I ended up doing a lot more training and development. So leadership and management training was really my in with a number of organisations that I probably wouldn't have got ins with before. And then it was working with the leadership teams, working with the management teams. And all of a sudden I was doing facilitated workshops. I was designing 9-month development programs for senior leadership teams within an organisation. I was using my Lumina tools, across quite large swathes of some businesses and going down into quite significant roles across the organisation. I was coaching some incredibly senior individuals with very, very powerful roles within organisations that I would never have thought I would have had the capacity to get my foot in the door. But I did it through a means that, as I say, I wasn't expecting I was going to be able to do. So I did have to change. So I think all organisations have to adapt. I probably adapted more than I expected to adapt, but actually I'm finding that adaptation and that pendulum swinging back the way that I, originally set the business up. So at the moment, I'm finding I'm doing a lot more organisation design and development work. We're doing a lot more around culture. I'm doing a lot more around the psychometrics and the coaching and less on the training and development side. So it just kind of pivots and moves, which is lovely for me because I get a huge amount of variety in the work that I do. But it also means that I do have the ability to be able to switch the organisation up and down as and when I need to.
That's fantastic. And the relationship that you have with the people who engage you, when they have started to see the results of your interventions, that must be a fantastic feeling for you.
Yeah, and it's the feeling that you get when you see the individuals and how much they've grown. It's the emails that you get that just say, thanks ever so much, love the session, got loads out of it. The sheets, you know, I hate the phrase happy sheets, but we all do them, don't we? So the feedback you get at the end of the session, and how much it's engaged with somebody, and then it's the longer term impact that you don't necessarily appreciate. So it's when people that you've worked with, you know, years ago suddenly phone you up because they've changed organisations and they want to get you in to do something because they really liked what you did for them before. So my work is all done on recommendation. You know, I'm very lucky. I do some business development, so hence the fact I'm a member of the business network, and I kind of get out there and share my experiences. But a lot of my work does come through recommendation from people that I've previously worked with, and that always gives you a little bit of a buzz as well.
Well, one of the things I've always admired about you, Louisa, is the fact that you do what it says on your tin, which is collaborate. And you've recently presented some seminars for our members together with other fellow members, and they've been so well received. So I can see what motivates you about collaborate, but tell me, how do you keep yourself in tip-top condition? Do you follow a development plan for you?
So yes, I do. And so I've made some interesting decisions actually probably over the last 3 or 4 months, where at the beginning of lockdown I could have quite happily battened down the hatches. I didn't, and I've continued to invest in myself and the business. So the new website launched on the 1st of May, and that's been a bit of a labour of love for years, if I'm really honest with you. And I think I finally now cracked the website that I wanted. And part of that website is actually I write blogs. So that's very much around me thinking about, you know, what's happening for me at that particular moment in time and sharing those experiences. I continue to invest in the Lumina suite of psychometrics. So I offer 4 of their psychometrics now, and I'm just about to get the final one that I can do under my belt in June, which is Lumina Leader, which is a 360 on leadership capabilities and your personality around leadership. So I'm thrilled to be able to get that done. And then I've always been really passionate about trying to think about next steps and thinking ahead about where things may well go. So during lockdown, I became certified as an Agile change agent, which is about using Agile methodology, which a lot of people would associate with software design and development, and start to think about how can we use this to manage change. So rather than understanding what that change is going to look like from end to end, be clear as to where you think you're going to go. But what we do is we manage it in iterative stages. So do a small amount, test, challenge, see if it works, and then put it back into the development or deploy it because actually it's working perfectly fine. So that's been a real eye-opener. Had to do an exam and everything, which was a bit scary. It's even scarier when you're online because
you can't cheat.
Well, no, but you're being watched. So similar to this on Zoom, the course leader, the invigilator, was watching us all. So as I'm reading the questions on my screen and literally talking the questions to myself and talking the answers and going, no, it's not going to be that. I think it's going to be that. Goodness knows what she thought I was doing. But yes, so I passed it. So it's ticking the box. It's achieved. I've always been a big believer in self-development. It's always been a massive thing of mine. I've pushed myself to do things like my MSc, you know, just after getting married and finishing dissertations whilst expecting and all that kind of good stuff. But this period of time has enabled me to spend a lot more time thinking about what do I want to learn? How do I want to develop so that I can help my own business develop, but also my clients develop as well.
That's fantastic. You really are a self-starter and a great example of keeping your skills in, as I say before, in tip-top condition, which is just fantastic. What advice would you give to anybody starting out in business now, not necessarily from the coronavirus pandemic, but in 2020, if they were starting out in business, especially in your industry, what advice would you offer?
So I'd probably go back to actually where I get the most value, and two things I'm doing at the moment, and leads back to something we're passionate about as an organisation, which is the use of coaching and being a coach to other people. But I actually have two coaches myself. Excellent. So the way that I do that is I have a coach around the business side of things. So whilst my husband is really supportive about what I do, I tend to have an independent voice that I need to listen to as well. So I have a business coach who helps me a lot around the marketing side, the sales side, how to actually push my brand. So that's been a relationship now that's been ongoing for almost a year actually, and it's been so powerful for me to have somebody. You feel as if somebody's got your back, but you also know that they're there to kind of push you and kind of prod and poke if they need to. And the other thing I'm doing at the moment is the coaching around kind of my health and well-being. So making sure that actually I'm thinking about how I work, how I operate, how I look after myself, to ensure that actually, as you say, using your phrase, I'm in tip-top condition from kind of a well-being perspective. Yeah. So what I would recommend to anybody is you've got somebody who can have your back where it comes to the business, and then you've got somebody who's got your back where it comes to you as an individual, and that could be a friend, a partner. It doesn't have to be somebody who's a qualified coach, but just you need a go-to and a turn-to person.
Absolutely, yeah.
And especially at this time, because it's absolutely critical that we're all looking out for each other, because it's hard and it's not going to get any easier. In fact, I think we're probably going to have a little bit more of the really hard, sticky stuff before we start to come out. So I think anybody that can have your back and you can call up at any time and just go, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? And that real independence, I think, can be really, really powerful. So definitely that would be my tick in the box. Have some go-to people.
Fabulous. No man is an island. We all need help.
Exactly.
So for people who maybe think, after watching this interview, I need to chat with Louisa, where are they going to find you?
So they can find me, so my big thing's LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, so it's Louisa Scanlan, Scanlan, I'm not an ON. Which is just hilarious because my daughter now recites this quite happily as to how to spell your surname. So that's me on LinkedIn. So Collaborate Business Solutions, apologies, the world's longest business name, all one word, .co.uk is the website. And as I say, it's a new website, so really interested to see what people think. And there's a form on there, or you can just email me. So my email address is on there as well. And just get in touch. I'm always happy to talk. All things change, all things growth, all things people. And as I say, just reach out if there's any support that you feel you may need and I could help with.
Fantastic. Well, I've been fortunate enough to have a working relationship with you for 12 years, and the past 3 or 4 years with the Business Network. You're a fabulous member. You're very, very generous with your expertise and kind and supportive to our fellow members. So on behalf of them, I'd like to say, Louisa Scanlan, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you ever so much, Karen. It's been lovely. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.